Dear Kano, would you please continue brewing with persistent petitioners in Modern? I would greatly
Kano,
appreciate
I come from
it.
the year
Some
3000.
real jank
We
that
are in
Kano, for the
dire
love
need of
God,
more
can
persistent
mono
petitioners.
blue
Petitioners to be able to fulfill this request.
Alright already, I feel like I'm going insane. I'll do more persistent petitioners content. Please just stop petitioning me persistently. I even opened a foil one in a pack. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Hey everybody, Kano. So today we're going to be playing Mono Blue Modern Persistent Mill Modern Advisor Tribal, whatever you want to call it. This list was submitted to me by MrInkdUp, and it's originally from a Hipsters of the Coast article by, oh god, I need to look at the name, Ryan Sainio. I apologize. I can leave a link in the description below for anybody who's curious to read the article. But basically, this is kind of a budgety deck. The idea is to reach a critical mass of 4 advisors by turn 3, so you can start milling your opponent for 12 a turn. And also on turn 3, having like Dispel backup for removal, Negate backup turn 4, potentially laying down a Fraying Sanity to mill your opponent, and Archive Trap for like our big mono activations. Interesting thing about this particular deck is that it has a transformative sideboard. So we have Aether Swoopers and Sailor of Means in order to get artifact tokens onto the battlefield. And then, once they're on the battlefield, we cast Shape Anew. We sacrifice the artifact token and reveal cards until we find an artifact. Because the only artifacts in our deck are artifact tokens and Blightsteel Colossus, we put Blightsteel Colossus onto the battlefield for 4 mana at sorcery speed. Blightsteel Colossus one-shots our opponent unless they have a Path to Exile or a Fog, or enough blockers, I guess, to survive the first hit. Either way, really strong. And we'll sideboard into that plan if we encounter a matchup where the mill plan's not going to work, our opponent thinks Leyline of Sanctity is going to save them, or tries to get tricky with their creature removal. But other than that, the idea is we play a Minister of Inquiries or a Moth Dust Changeling turn 1, and then 2 of those cards turn 2, and turn 3 we play a Petitioners, and turn 4 we play Petitioners, and turn 5 we play Petitioners, and so on and so forth until our opponent dies. In order to turn on Archive Trap, which is a mill 13 for effectively 0, we have 4 Ghost Quarter in the main. This is an unedited list. I might make some edits because I can already see some things that shouldn't impact the budget, but I feel like I might have some ideas on what might get it to work a little bit better. I would probably play Field of Ruin over Ghost Quarter because Field of Ruin does not say may search, it forces them to search, which better turns on Archive Trap. But we'll see. Yeah, without further ado, let's take this into some 2-mans. So, Persistent Petitioner Mill Redux. Redo. I think I'm going to go for the aggro hand. I have not played this deck yet. Alright, this looks a little bit better. We draw an island and we're golden. Opponent mulligan to 5. So we keep. We'll put a Persistent Petitioners to the bottom. Opponent plays a forest. Passes. We untap, we draw Moth Dust Changeling. We'll play a Minister of Inquiries. Now if we draw an island off the top, we have the turn 3 Persistent Petitioners ready to go. Ooh, it's Infect. We'll untap, we draw Archive Trap. We'll play a Ghost Quarter, play a Minister, gain some energy, pass the turn. If we draw an island, we can still go for the turn 3-4 advisors. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have lethal here. They did mulligan pretty low. Opponent does not attack. Plays a Blight Mamba. Okay, well it looks like there's some budget considerations on our opponent's mana base. So let's mill our opponent. We mill a forest and 2 Blight Mambas. Untap. We draw an island. Alright. So play a Moth Dust Changeling. Play Persistent Petitioners. Pass the turn. We are going to get at least 1 activation from Persistent Petitioners here. We should be able to block at least one time as well. Opponent plays a Necropede. Unless they have a land, the only thing we have to worry about is mutagenic growth. Opponent does not attack. So let's tap 4 untapped advisors we control and mill our opponent for 12. Untap, we draw a negate. I think we just hold up negate. I think the only way our opponent's going to kill us is if they have a really strong pump spell like Become Immense. But it looks like this is budget infect. Opponent plays another Glistener Elf. It's also mono green. Opponent passes. So let's mill him for 12. And Ghost Quarter him. Archive Trap them for 0. Untap. We draw. Tap 4 untapped advisors we control and mill them out. Oh my gosh, it worked! First game, first try! Oh man, that's awesome! So, ironically, our secondary win condition is Infect, but our opponent plays Infect creatures which can answer our Indestructible Blightsteel, and this plan I think is slower. But if they get their own Infect creature, pump it up and block, that's going to nullify the win condition. So this transformative sideboard plan is actually worse by a wide margin for multiple reasons. So we're going to stick with the main deck plan. Bad part about a transformative sideboard is you can't slot in silver bullets to answer your opponent's strategy. We do have a 1, a 2, a 3. We'll keep this hand. This might be a little slow, especially because our opponent is looking to kill us very quickly. They do not have a 1-drop. Flame off Dust Changeling, pass the turn. Opponent plays another forest. Plays an Ichorclaw Mirror. Alright, that's a little bit nasty. We'll play another island. Play a Persistent Petitioners, pass the turn. We're not going to block if our opponent attacks here, which they should. Opponent plays a second Ichorclaw Mirror. Opponent gets in for 1. Well, no blocks. We would like to draw one of our 1-drop advisors here. Archive Trap. Well, in that case, we'll play a Ghost Quarter, play Petitioners, pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest, plays a third Ichorclaw Mirror, gets in for 2. Well, no blocks. If they've got us, they've got us. Opponent has a Predator Strike. Yeah, so if we had blocked, we actually would have taken a lot more damage because Ichorclaw Mirror gets pumped when we block it. Next turn, I think we are forced to block, though. So we are going to Ghost Quarter our opponent. Maybe I should have waited to see what I drew. Archive Trap our opponent. Untap, we draw Fraying Sanity. Oh, I should have waited. Oh, why didn't I wait? Oh, it's because I'm bad at this game. Pass the turn. I was just so excited to mill our opponent. So now we have to block. Because if our opponent has any pump spell whatsoever, we die. Oh gosh. Unless our opponent does not attack, in which case that is certainly wrong. Opponent attacks. Alright, well... let's block this one. We'll let the stack resolve, and then we'll activate Petitioner. If our opponent does nothing here, we're actually going to just take the damage, but... opponent has become immense. Alrighty then. Slight misplay on my part. Don't think it actually mattered, though. Alright. Yes, I would like to play first. Double Archive Trap, 3 Petitioners, 1 Dispel. We got a mulligan. This is better. Opponent mulliganed as well. I think I'll keep this. Petitioners to the bottom. We would like a land and more 1-drops. So start Minister of Inquiries, pass the turn. Get some energy. Opponent starts Forest and Glistener Elf. We untap, we draw another Ghost Quarter, play Ghost Quarter, pass the turn. I kind of want to hold up Negate and block with Minister of Inquiries, especially if our opponent plays another creature before combat. Opponent gets in for 1. Well, we'll block. Opponent Predator Strike. We have a negate. Damage. Alright, now our opponent is down threats and we just bought ourselves a lot of time. So let's spend an energy and mill our opponent. Untap, we draw Fraying Sanity. I think we're going to go ahead and play Fraying Sanity now. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an Ichor Mirror. Okay. Mill our opponent. Opponent mills an additional 3. We untap, we draw another Petitioners. Play Petitioners. I think they're going to be on chump block duty. We've milled 1 Predator Strike. And they've cast 1. We milled 2. And they've cast 1, so odds are they can't give it trample at instant speed. We would be really, really sad if they played a Rancor here. Opponent gets in for 1. I'll block with the Petitioners. It has higher toughness in case they do have a another trample spell. Okay. Opponent plays a Blight Mamba. Plays a Blight Mamba. We can mill them for 14, and then they mill 14 again. I think we wait. Well, no, we have 2 Ghost Quarters, even if we draw another Archive Trap. Let's wait till our turn. Untap, we draw Archive Trap number 2. Okay. So now we can play a Petitioners and hold up double Archive Trap. Oh, no, we can just kill him here, can't we? Haha, Ghost Quarter. Please search. Oh, they searched. They didn't know. Mill him out. Both barrels! Pass the turn. Opponent mills a ton. Untaps. Oh my god, it worked! It worked! Alright, looks like we are on the draw this game. Well, it's not the worst hand we've seen. We'll keep. Opponent starts Creeping Tar Pit. We will start Island and Moth Dust Changeling. Pass the turn. Because we drew Fraying Sanity, we're going to try and hold Archive Trap until we can cast Fraying Sanity. Opponent plays a Polluted Delta. Cracks Polluted Delta. Plays an Island. Bitter Blossom. Do we Archive Trap? I think the answer is no. We draw an Island. Play Petitioners. Pass the turn. I think our opponent is likely to try and kill Petitioners on their turn, which might allow us to actually land this Fraying Sanity. Oh, opponent passes. We draw another Petitioners. So let's... If opponent almost certainly has the 2-mana flash counterspell equal to, or CMC less than or equal to the number of fairies you control. So whatever we try and cast here, except for maybe Archive Trap, would get countered. I think what we're going to do is try and play just a Petitioners. That's the lowest impact counter. Okay, opponent does have Spell Stutter Sprite. I couldn't remember the name earlier. And they do counter Petitioners. Alright, well, pass the turn. Next turn we'll have Negate backup for the second Petitioner. Opponent loses a life, gets a fairy. Plays Polluted Delta. Goes to attacks. Attacks for 2. We go down to 18. Alright. Mill our opponent for 1. We mill Vendilion Click. Untap. We draw Minister of Inquiries. We'll play Minister. Ooh, Spell Stutter Sprite number 2. Alright. That's a little unfortunate. Play Persistent Petitioners. Pass the turn. Bad thing about Spell Stutter Sprite is, versus Negate, Negate doesn't counter creatures. Reprint Counterspell, wizards! Reprint it! In a standard legal set! Make the masses cry. Alright, opponent gets another fairy. And gets in for 4. We take 4, go to 14. Untap, we draw a Petitioner. I guess we go for the Petitioners. There's no way this doesn't get countered, or another one doesn't get killed. But it has a mana leak. Alright. Well, we're doing the best we can right now. I don't think any of our future spells are going to resolve, though. We needed one more land. Opponent gets in for 5, takes us to 9. We untap, we draw Petitioner. Well, let's try it. Our opponent's definitely sitting on a Fatal Push. Like they have had to have been this whole time. Oh, sad face. Okay. Let's go to our next game. I think the Blightsteel plan might actually be better than the Mill plan. So in that case, we're going to cut our Fraying Sanity and Archive Traps so that we appear to be on the same plan, and just cut a number of Persistent Petitioners and try it like this. Because maybe our opponent will start wasting kill spells on our other guys rather than just our random artifact token dudes. Alright, we'd love to play first. Not a playable hand, though. We got a mulligan. If we top deck nothing but lands, this would be great, but I think we gotta go to 5. Well, this is about the same, so I guess we keep island on top. Play an island, play minister. Gain some energy, pass the turn. Opponent, gonna start island. Passes. We untap, we draw island. Play island, pass the turn. We will negate a Bitter Blossom 100%. Opponent opts. 1 card on top. Untaps. Watery Grave? Flooded Strand. Flooded Strand into Watery Grave. Oh, nothing, huh? We'll mill our opponent. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand. Gets a Watery Grave. Oh, if we could top deck a land here, that'd be great. Opponent kills the Minister, mills 3. We untap, we draw. Petitioners. Well, play Petitioners. Make them think they still need to be countering or killing. If this gets spell snared, that'd be okay. We need to top deck land. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta. Gets a Watery Grave. Plays Tassiger. Interesting. And a Bitter Blossom. Alright, land, please. It's a Dispel, not a land. Unfortunate. Well, pass the turn. We need to draw lands. Opponent plays a Mutavault. Gets in for 4 with Tassiger. No blocks. We go to 16. Mill our opponent for 1 at the end step. Mill a Creeping Tar Pit. Untap. We draw. Dispel. Ugh. Oh, we really need. Opponent going to activate Tassiger. We will give them Ratchet Bomb. Opponent gets a fairy. Opponent attacks for 5. We take it, go to 11. Play an island. Yeah, at this point, there's just no way. We have to cast this, even if it gets countered. Opponent opts in response. Opponent lets it go. We get a treasure. Pass the turn. Opponent probably does not see that as a threat. We need to draw land. We have 2 chump blockers for Tassiger. If we draw land, we can Shape Anew with Dispel backup. Opponent Inquisitions. Now Shape Anew is never going to resolve. They've seen the plan. They understand the plan. It would also really suck if we just got Vapor Snagged or aggroed out. Opponent has to take Dispel, I think. Opponent takes Negate. The opponent gets in for 6. We will chump. Maybe this ought to be playing like a Darksteel Citadel in the main. I feel like it should. We get a Petitioner. I'll play Petitioner. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, gets a fairy. Unfortunately, I think we're dead. Opponent gets a Flooded Strand. Attacks for a bunch. We block. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand. Plays Ratchet Bomb. We untap, we draw an island. Well, I guess we go for it. I think opponent can just crack Ratchet Bomb in response, but you never know, they could have F6'd. Opponent cracks Ratchet Bomb. And we have no dream of winning now. Okay. Oh, that was kind of sad, but that's how fairies works. Alright. Monk EC, Monk EDO. I like it. Alright, yes, we would love to play first. Definitely not a playable hand. We will mulligan. This is kind of risky. They kept a 7. We're going to go down. Alright. Dispel on top. Start island. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Misty Rainforest. Untap. Probably worth more than the combined cost of our deck. We'll play an island. Play Petitioners. Pass the turn. Opponent fetches Misty Rainforest and finds a Breeding Pool untapped. Cycles a Hieroglyphic Illumination. This looks like Sultai Teachings turns, if I had to guess. Opponent Fatal pushes the Persistent Petitioners. We play Ghost Quarter, play Petitioners, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Creeping Tar Pit. Assassin's Trophy, we will dispel. Untap, we draw Archive Trap. Well, Archive Trap is going to be somewhat useful. We may not be able to actually mill them out with Nexus in their deck. We don't have a way to force them to draw. Unless we can mill all of their lands that they need prior to... oh, can't be countered. Alright, mill them for 1. They Abrupt Decay Petitioner. Opponent plays a Breeding Pool tapped. Passes the turn. Well, we untap, we draw Minister of Inquiries, play Minister. Opponent going for the Cryptic Command. Counters and draws. I think we wait. We can double Archive Trap with Dispel backup at any time. We're going to wait for a slightly more opportune time. We draw a second Dispel. Alright, double Dispel backup is good. Opponent casts a Mystical Teachings. I think we let this one go through. Because if they only have one Nexus of Fate in their hand, they can cast it to put it back in their deck, but... So we can mill 26 cards, 27 with the Ghost Quarter activation, technically. Oh, they get Pulse of Marasa. Okay. So they're not going for the Nexus of Fate yet. Opponent Pulses of Marasa for Misty Rainforest, plays Misty Rainforest, and passes the turn. Third archive trap, please. Well, it's a petitioner. Play petitioner. Pass the turn. Opponent devours flesh. Okay. That's fun tech. I miss playing this in standard. Okay, opponent passes. We draw island. Play island. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta. For Breeding Pool tapped. Cracks Misty Rainforest. So let's Ghost Quarter Tar Pit. Gets an island. Archive Trap. Opponent goes for the Cryptic. We dispel the Cryptic. We might be able to mill them out of fetchable lands here. It is possible. It's not necessarily likely, though. Looks like opponent's going to Logic Knot. Okay. We dispel Logic Knot. Okay. Countered. Countered. And mill him for an additional 13. Okay. We got a whole bunch of cards milled. Whole bunch more cards milled. Misty Rainforest resolves. They fail to find a forest or an island. No more fetchable lands. They play Creeping Tar Pit. They only have 11 cards left in their deck. But they may not actually have enough lands to loop Nexus while animating Tar Pit. Okay, opponent has a Snapcaster for Fatal Push. Pulse of Marasa. Okay. So opponent pulses for Snapcaster Mage. Opponent Snapcaster Mage for Fatal Push. Fatal Pushes Petitioners. Gets in for 2. We untap. We draw an island. We'll play an island, pass the turn. Opponent casts Blue Sun Zenith. X1. Plays a land. Animates Tar Pit. Gets in for 7. We go to 14. We untap. We draw Ghost Quarter. Well, there's an answer for Tar Pit. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps and draws. Attacks for 4. We go to 10. We would like to draw an Archive Trap off the top here. It's a Petitioner. Play Petitioner. Opponent remands. Play Petitioner. Opponent Cryptics. Counter draw. Opponent Growth Spirals. Puts in a Field of Ruin. Passes. If we'd been able to resolve a Petitioner as a blocker, our opponent is going to run out of ways to get around them, and could only loop Nexus infinitely. Opponent gets in for 4. We take it and go to 6. Opponent casts Nexus of Fate. Okay. We'll nuke Tar Pit now. Opponent fails to find. Puts Nexus back in their deck. Opponent gets in for 4, takes us to 2. and casts Nexus of Fate for lethal. Alright, well I think the Blightsteel plan is a little bit worse because our opponent has a lot of really good interaction for it in the form of Cryptic Command and just being faster than that plan. But I also don't know that we're going to mill them out ever. We might be able to, if we can mill them fast enough, mill them into an unplayable game state where they don't have enough lands to loop Nexus, but could so they can't recast it. I actually think, despite how bad Mill's matchup is, it's slightly more likely than trying to go for this Blightsteel plan right now. Yeah, so I'd like to play first. If we draw another island, this is really good, so we'll keep this. Opponent's deciding whether or not to mulligan to 6. Opponent mulligans to 6, but does not go to 5. Opponent's deciding on their scry. Okay. They put it to the bottom. We start Minister of Inquiries, gain some energy past the turn. Opponent starts Polluted Delta, fetches Polluted Delta. Finds a breeding pool untapped. We draw Island, Persistent Petitioners. We'll play a Ghost Quarter, play a Minister, gain more energy, pass the turn. Opponent opts on our end step. Puts the card on top and draws it. Draws a Drowned Catacomb. Okay, mill our opponent. We mill Reclamation, Illumination, and Island. Draw Petitioners. Let's just pass. We do need to draw another land, but I think negate, holding up negate here is better than just running Petitioners into a Logic Knot or going shields down. One plays a Hinterland Harbor. Mill him for 3. Mill him for 3. Untap, we draw another Petitioners. Well, I guess let's play Petitioner. Now that we don't have a land, we don't really have an option. It resolves. Pass the turn. This way, if we draw an island and they kill one of them, we can play our 1-drop and 2-drop and fire it. Okay, opponent opts. Opponent puts a card on top. Plays a forest. Passes turn. Well, activate Minister. Mill Cryptic, Remand, untap. Draw negate. Well, play Moth Dust Changeling. Opponent Cryptics, counter draw. We pass. Opponent plays a Flooded Grove. Does not attack. Attempt to petition our opponent for 1. Mill Dispel. We untap. We draw Archive Trap. Well, Archive Trap's pretty good. Pass the turn. I think if our opponent plays a fetch land, we will Ghost Quarter and then Archive Trap. Okay. Opponent plays a swamp. Attempt to petition our opponent for 1. Mill an island. Untap. We draw another Petitioners. I guess Let's try and run out petitioners. I'm expecting like fatal push, snap, fatal push. Honestly. Oh, resolves! Opponent opts. Opponent growth spirals. Puts in polluted delta. Cracks polluted delta. Now it's our time to shine. Oh, we have to actually let them search for that. So I guess let's mill 12 in response and see if we can't get them to not hit a land. We mill a bunch of fetches, but they probably still have an actual land to grab. They get an island. Okay. Opponent Mystical Teachings. Well, let's mill them for 13. They're at 2 cards in their deck. We somehow have not milled their singleton. They fail to find? Untap, draw 1. Opponent plays a Wilderness Reclamation. Gets in for 2. So I think as long as they can keep drawing 1 extra card, they can kill us. I think they have the win. Opponent plays Obstructionist. Opponent Surgical's Polluted Delta. Oh, okay. So they had to figure out what the last card in their deck was. The Surgical Polluted Delta, now meaning the only card they can draw is Nexus of Fate. And now they Nexus of Fate every turn. Well, we milled them down to 1 card, or 2 cards, but unfortunately... Well, this is pretty fast. If we draw an island, we'll keep. Opponent goes to 6. Play an island, play Minister. Pass the turn. Pray we draw an island on our upkeep. Or, I mean, on our draw step. You don't draw at the upkeep. Not without staffing in. Opponent plays a mountain. Plays a Swift Spear. It's burn! Gets in for 1. They could have Gut Shot. We're not going to block. Go to 19. Untap. We draw Petitioners. Play another Minister. Gain some energy. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Ramanop Ruins. This could be the like 16 bolt or 20 bolt deck. Looks like it. Opponent plays a Runaway Steamkin. So they're definitely going to have a Gut Shot, which means not blocking was correct. We take 1, go to 18. Opponent passes. Mill our opponent. Gut Shot, Bedlam Reveler, Bedlam Reveler. Man, sometimes I'm good at this game. Play Persistent Petitioners. Pass the turn. Now if we draw another island, we'll be in really good business. Because even if our opponent has removal for 1 creature, we can play 2. Opponent plays a mountain. This also means we have to be careful because they probably are going to have... is it Phoenix? The Arclight Phoenix. They're going to have Arclight Phoenixes in their deck, which means we need to be milling them sparingly when we can. Light up the stage from our opponent. That's really good with Runaway Steamkin on the board. Opponent exiles a Metamorphose and a Gut Shot. Holy crap. Oh, we're so toast. Opponent's going to cast like 9 more spells this turn. Opponent Metamorphose. Well, he adds red. Draws a card. If they have like any real number of spells in their hand, they're going to empty their Steamkin right now so that they can start getting more counters on him. Opponent Faithless Looting. Maybe not. Draws. Opponent drops Arclight, Phoenix, and Ramanop Ruins. Bolts our face. Reanimates Phoenix. 9, 13, gut shots lethal. We have to block. Block with Petitioners. Oh, that was wrong. We should have blocked with a Minister, because that gave us the option of drawing another 1-drop. I mean, it's not like we're surviving. That's the magical Christmas land where we survive. Mill our opponent. Pass the turn. We draw Petitioners. We'll play Petitioners. Pass the turn. Opponent has Flashback, Faithless Looting, and Gut Shot available. Opponent flashbacks, Faithless Looting, dumping all the counters off Steamkin. Now what do they discard? Double Mountain. Opponent gut shots our face. Plays a Light Up the Stage. Monastery Swiftspear and Desperate Ritual. Opponent can play Monastery Swiftspear and then cast Desperate Ritual. Or dump all the mana, cast Desperate Ritual, cast Monastery Swiftspear, and then if they... Or dump all the mana, cast Monastery Swiftspear, cast Desperate Ritual, and if they have any other spell in hand, have like another 5 damage. Opponent plays Monastery Swiftspear. Casts Desperate Ritual. Flashes back Faithless Looting. And even dumps another Arclight Phoenix in the grave. Man. Modern's not broken. Ouch. Alright, well. I think we're going to bring in the Shape Anew package just because. Milling our opponent into Phoenixes sounds bad. We're going to drop Archive Traps. We're going to drop Fraying Sanities. We are going to drop a bunch of Persistent Petitioners because we just want things that are capable of blocking. We don't necessarily want to mill our opponent. And we're going to run it back like this. Heck yeah, I want to play first. Once again, both combo pieces, blockers, but no lands. We'll mulligan. We got Sailor of Means. Let's... We'll mulligan. Alright, we're keeping. Shape Anew on top. Star and Moth Dust Changeling. It's a blocker. Now if we draw Shape Anew land, and our opponent has a slow start, we actually stand a chance. Opponent starts Swiftspear. Gets in for 1, we take it. Go to 19. Untap. We draw Shape Anew. Play Aether Swooper. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a mountain. Oh, what am I thinking? Darksteel Citadel would absolutely not work in this deck. Opponent gets in for 1. No blocks. We take 1, go to 18. Alright, land and then land off the top, please. Opponent plays a Pyromancer Ascension. Don't know why they didn't do that pre-combat. We draw Petitioners. I guess let's attack. Pay mana for Aether Swooper. And play a Petitioners. Pass the turn. Petitioners can at least block Swift Spear unless they cast 2 spells this turn. Also, hidden synergy with Minister of Inquiries. Opponent attacks for 1. We block. The problem is, if we try and shape anew this servo token, a gut shot counters the whole plan. Opponent just lets him bounce. Plays a bolt, targets our face. Lights up the stage. Opponent reveals a mountain and a Manamorphose. We untap. We really, really like a land. And I don't know why our opponent wasn't casting spells main phase. We untap. We draw another Aether Swooper. Well, I guess we continue to play really, really bad aggro, but in the wrong order. We definitely should have played Aether Swooper beforehand. Take him to 15, play Aether Swooper. Oh, if we'd drawn lands, we might actually stand a chance. I want to see the Blightsteel one time. That's all I'm asking for, universe. Please, if you're out there, grant me a Blightsteel Colossus this day. Opponent bolts the Aether Swooper. Counter on Ascension, Prowess trigger on Swift Spear. Cast a Manamorphose. Adds red. For those of you who don't know what I'm doing, I'm currently petting a cat. Sweet little creature. Opponent Faithless Lootings. Discards Phoenix and a Mountain. Plays Mountain. Probably flashbacks looting. Desperate Ritual. Plays Earthquake. Oh no. Gets a Phoenix. Gets in for 8. Takes us to 4. We untap. We draw a Ghost Quarter. If we attack, we have to block with the token. We just didn't draw lands. We scoop it up. That's really slow. We're going to mulligan. We can't keep a one-lander, even with double archive, I think. I think this deck needs more lands. There's so many one-land hands we've had. Alright. We'll keep the two-lander. Opponent mulligans to 3. We stand a chance. Island to the bottom. Play Moth Dust Changeling. I think the Moto Shuffler is angry at people today. We draw a Minister. Attack for 1. Play Petitioners. Pass the turn. Opponent should immediately know what we're doing now. We untap. 1 drop, please. It's Petitioner. Play a Petitioner. Attack for 2. We draw an Archive Trap. Play Minister. Get some energy. Mill our opponent for 12. See what they're up to. They probably are going to just concede before we mill, so that we don't get to see what they're playing. Yeah. Generally, if you have to mulligan really, really low and you have no playables, play a few turns just to see what your opponent's plan is, and then don't play any cards, don't discard to hand size, and then just concede, get more information for game 2 and 3, and try and win then. Like, don't try and win off a mull to 3 unless you have a 3-card combo in your hand that you can play for 0 mana on turn 1. I don't know what that is. Like if you suspect, if you're at F&M and you're playing against an opponent who you know plays Tron, and your opening hand is Commandeer and 2 blue cards on a mull to 3, I would keep it, because there's a pretty reasonable chance your opponent's going to go turn 3 Karn, and you're going to Commandeer it, and you're going to exile a Tron land. In which case, they're going to be sad. But that's pretty much the only mulligan to 3 I would ever keep. Yeah, we're going to mulligan. Alright, we will keep this hand. We'll keep. Opponent scries to the bottom, we scry to the bottom as well. Opponent's on Tron. Strange that I said that earlier, but you know. Play a Minister. Pass the turn. Opponent. Probably cracks for green. Ancient Stirrings. There it is. Always happens. Opponent reveals Chromatic Star. Plays a tower. Plays Chromatic Star. We untap. We draw. Negate. I think we're going to hold up Negate just in case this is like turn 3 Karn. Because if our opponent has Tron and casts anything, it's pretty much game over. Opponent cracks Chromatic Star for green, draws a card. The natural Tron. Natural Tron into Conduit of Ruin. Damn, son. Opponent puts Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, on top of their deck. We will mill Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and his brother, Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. We untap, we draw Archive Trap. Well, play Petitioners. Pass the turn. If our opponent doesn't propagate a huge threat, we might actually be able to get them if we can draw Ghost Quarter, land Fraying Sanity, and then Ghost Quarter Archive Trap. It might actually work. There's not a high chance, but it is a non-zero chance. So I will play it out. But it plays Chromatic Sphere. Draws with Chromatic Sphere. Ancient Stirrings for our opponent. Reveals a Chromatic Star. I don't know how our opponent is missing so many threats. World Breaker. That is very likely the game. Mill our opponent for 3. We need an island or a Ghost Quarter off the top to even stand a chance. Chromatic Star for our opponent. We untap, we draw another Archive Trap. Well, pass the turn. Hopefully our opponent searches their library for some reason. Opponent attacks for 10. Let's chump the World Breaker. Please, cast a Sylvan Scrying. Opponent cracks for green. Not a Worm Coil, that's the opposite of a Sylvan Scrying. And a Worm Coil. Oh, we are so super dead. Mill our opponent for 1. Untap. We mill Sylvan Scrying. Play an island. Even if we play Petitioners and double chump, we die. Alright, game 3. I think we stay on the mill plan. We're going to stay on the mill plan. Yeah, I'd love to play first. That's not a keepable hand. That might be. We'll keep. Dispel to the bottom. Play an island, play Minister. Gain 2 energy, pass the turn. Opponent plays a power plant. We untap, we draw island. Play Petitioner, pass the turn. Would really like a 1-drop Minister off the top. Or Moth Dust Changeling. Mill our opponent for 3, untap, we draw. Another Petitioner, play an island. Play a Petitioner. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an expedition map. Plays a forest. Passes. Oh, we're gonna get Petitioner Tron online. Mill our opponent. Mill our opponent. Untap. We draw. Archive Trap. Hey, we're gonna mill him for a lot this turn. Alright, pass the turn. So I think in response to Expedition Map, we activate our Petitioners, and post Expedition Map, we Archive Trap them. So mill our opponent for 12. We play against the 1 mono green Tron that runs an actual Emrakul that shuffles their entire graveyard back into their library. Why? The one time we actually looked like we were gonna win. We lose. We assembled Petitioner Tron. And we still lost. Just Ugin me. Ugin me and end it. Do it! Do it! Oh no. Why? We did get to see the deck's optimal hand versus mono green Infect, where we had 1-drop, 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 Petitioners, and I think Dispel backup, which is what this deck really, really wants to do every game. It is not consistent enough to do it as it stands right now, which is really unfortunate. If you can get that hand, this deck does some crazy stuff. If you have some Archive Traps and some Ghost Quarters sprinkled in, you will mill your opponent out very, very fast. Now, that being said, with no cantrips, I think 22 lands is the wrong number. I think you ought to be running 23, maybe 24. I think you probably should have at least a Mikokoro in here, and the Ghost Quarter should definitely be Field of Ruins to force the search rather than an opponent may search. I don't know how often that would be relevant, but it can be kind of relevant. I really, really think the transformative sideboard is ambitious. The Shape Anew plan coming out of the board, while really, really cool, doesn't really accomplish anything. There are very few times that you want to bring it in, and even fewer times that it's going to work. The kinds of decks that are going to counter your main plan of milling are going to have counter spells, Path to Exiles, or kill you faster than you can cast a Shape Anew without ramping into it and protecting it. We wanted to Shape Anew with 5 lands so that we could Shape Anew with Dispel backup. I don't even think there was a single game we played 5 lands. The modern format is just a little bit too fast, as was evidenced by the Runaway Red matchup. And the other problem with the transformative sideboard is you lose out on all of those silver bullet cards that you can run in the side. Like, we couldn't run Rest in Pieces, we couldn't run Dragon's Claws, we couldn't run Relics of Progenitus, we couldn't run Tormod's Crypt. This is not like, everybody sees transformative sideboards and really, really likes them, but it's not like the Dark Ascension Lost in the Woods deck. Like, you can't just change decks game 2. I know that would be amazing if you could, but it just doesn't work in Constructed. And at least I haven't seen it work for a long time. I will qualify it with that. I really like the deck. I think it's got potential. I think there are some iterations on it you can do. I would drop the transformative sideboard plan. Like if you want to do Shape Anew should be its own deck. And I have some ideas for how to make that work. So if you're interested, please like drop a comment, let me know. I definitely think there's a couple of other ways you can take this deck. I don't know about Fraying Sanity. The one time we dropped it, we just lost because our opponent had an unmillable card in their deck. That was 2 different decks that had unmillable cards in them. Couldn't mill out the guy running Nexus of Fate. We couldn't mill out the guy running Emrakul. Yeah, I don't know about this one. It's very cheap. You want to build it, you want to play it, you want to have fun at FNM, I recommend it. It's not going to win any GPs, unfortunately. I might do a version 2 of this deck, making a few tweaks that I suggested, probably trying a couple of different non-budget options. I think there's probably some better counter spells than Negate that you could be running in the 2-drop slot. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want to see more content like it, please like the video, comment the video, subscribe to this channel if you're so inclined. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/KanoYugoro. And yeah, hope to see you around. Bye-bye.